Hi everyone, welcome to your week 12 video. This video is going to be a little longer than last week, but it should still be short. So happy April Fool's Day. My inner English teacher couldn't resist this post from Grammarly, so that said, don't be a fool on April Fool's Day. Alright, so here is your week 12 checklist. If you're watching this video right now, you should have already read the information and literacy chapter for a second time. If you haven't, please pause the video and read or skim back through it. Your week 12 discussion board original post is due Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. You should actively engage by reading the majority of your peers' posts and respond to them by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Additionally, you're going to complete your third media and technology inquiry project, which is due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Okay. So let's first look at the week 12 discussion board posts. So for this week, you're going to describe the most important thing that you feel like you learned from your interviewee from MTIP number 2. And then you're going to describe what you learned, then you're going to describe how what you learned from your interviewee is influencing and or focusing your scholarly research for MTIP number 3. So, for instance, you may have learned about a specific technology that people in your future career field use, and because of that, your scholarly research focuses on that specific technology. So posts are due Wednesday, and you are expected to actively engage in the discussion board by Sunday. All right, so this should have been your second time reading the information literacy chapter, and this time I really want to focus on bias. So the chapter presents 4 questions to help you identify bias from authors and on websites. The first question is about ownership and trust and asks who owns, authors, and maintains the information or website, and why should you trust them? When you're doing scholarly research, it never hurts to look up the authors of articles that you're reading. Additionally, it might be helpful to look up the journal that they've published in. So both of these things can really tell you a lot about the credibility of what's being presented in the research. The next thing you'll ask yourself is the bias explicit or is it implicit? So explicit bias is visible bias. And according to Kimmons, responsible authors and websites make their bias known and as clear as possible to allow their readers to recognize how those biases might influence the information that is presented. So good scholarly research really does identify possible biases and or describes the limitations of the research, so it makes it very clear and apparent to anyone that's reading their research. Implicit bias, on the other hand, is hidden bias that masquerades as being bias-free. So scholarly research that doesn't address any potential biases and or limitations is likely biased. I would avoid, using these types of articles. So the third question to ask yourself is, might the content be controversial or subject to interpretation? This really goes hand in hand with explicit and implicit bias. If something is controversial, check to see if there's explicit or implicit bias to help yourself make a decision about the quality of what's being presented to you. Finally, you should ask yourself, what's the resource's primary goal and how might this impact what and how the content is being presented? So all 4 of these questions are going to help you identify bias and decide whether or not the scholarly source that you're using is worthwhile or not. So now that we've talked a little bit about bias, let's look at MTIP number 3, which is due Sunday, April 7th at 11:59 p.m. So for MTIP number 3, you're going to identify at least 3 scholarly sources using either Google Scholar or Oklahoma State University's library website. So I've linked both of these in the assignment instructions. And by scholarly research, I mean that you're looking for research articles from journals, not magazines. So these are like actual research journals, or chapters from a book, not a whole book. Don't read a whole book. I won't even believe that you've read a whole book. So after you've found, your research articles or chapters, or really probably while you're doing this, you're gonna create an annotated bibliography that details your process for finding these sources as well as information found in them. So after going over these basic requirements here, I'm gonna show you an example as well as the template that you're gonna use for the assignment. So for each of the scholarly resources, you're gonna provide the following information. So first is gonna be the title of the resource, and that is actually going to be hyperlinked to the resources entry in the OSU catalog or to the article that you found via Google Scholar, if it actually takes you to the article. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about when I walk you through the example in a few minutes. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to provide a brief summary of the resource, which is only 3 to 5 sentences. And please make sure that this is in your own words and that you don't plagiarize. You've been cursed with a professor who used to be an online high school English teacher, and I can just spot plagiarism really easily. It happened already a couple of times since I've been at OSU, so please just do your own research and write your own summary. It's not too difficult, hopefully. Okay. So the third thing that you're going to do is you're going to identify the strengths of the resource, and this is going to be your opinion. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to identify the weaknesses of the resource. This is also your opinion. The fifth thing that you're going to do is you're going to explain how you found the resource, and I'll walk you through an example in a minute. And then finally, you're going to just describe how you think the resource helps you finding answers to your MTIP research question. So as I just briefly warned, please don't plagiarize. Everything should be in your own words, and I really highly suggest that when you're completing the annotated bibliography tables, don't look at the articles that you're writing about when you're writing the summaries. This is really going to help you avoid copying sentence structure and actual sentences, both of which are plagiarism. So I recommend just typing up your summary the best that you can from memory without looking at the article, and then go back and clean up your summary with correct spelling and details from the article after you have the meat of it written. That way you'll hopefully avoid some plagiarism. Okay, so what to do here? So the first thing that you're going to do is download MTIP number 3 template, and then you're going to change the file name by replacing last name with your last name. And then you're going to complete one table for each of your 3 resources, so you'll have 3 tables completed total. I'm just going to take you to what it looks like right now. So this is the empty template. So you have scholarly source 1, 2, and 3, and basically you're just going to fill in these blanks. Okay, so the last thing that you're going to do, if you need it, is use my example, which is in the assignment instructions, and I'm going to walk you through in a second as a guide for what your completed tables should look like. Okay, so here's the example. So when you find a good source, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to type in the title of the resource into the first empty cell of the table, which will be this one where source is, right? So you're going to type in the title. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to hyperlink that title using either the resources entry in the OSU catalog or a link to the article that you found in Google Scholar if it takes you to the actual article. So no ugly pasted links. You all should know better by now. So let me walk you through what I mean by the permalink. So let me just click on this. Okay, so this is the source essentially in the OSU library. Okay, so let's say you search through the library, you found your source, and it'll send you to a page that looks like this. And in this page, you'll have like a send to option, which is right here. And all you need to do is click on permalink, and it'll pop out this permanent link, aka permalink, right? And you will copy this, and then you will use this to hyperlink into your template. So you'll hyperlink the title that you've already linked. Okay, so that's how you would do it if you're finding something via the OSU library. Now let's say you were just doing Google Scholar. So I'm going to go to scholar.google.com. And all right, so let's just say, okay, so I'm just typed in the title that I previously had. And so if I found a PDF of this on Google Scholar, this is what I would do. And so you notice right here, it says PDF. So I'd click on this, and then I would use this link and hyperlink the title. Okay, so only do this from Google Scholar if it actually takes you to the full PDF. If it doesn't, you're going to need to go to the OSU library anyway, so you can actually read that article, right? Okay, so, Okay, so then, in filling out the table, you'll write your summary, and you're not going to plagiarize, so you're going to write it in there, and you're not going to, look at the article, right? Then you will indicate what you believe the strengths of the resource is to be here. Then you'll indicate what you believe the weaknesses of the resource is to be here. Then here you're going to describe how you actually found the resource. So notice that in this example, I've fully described exactly what I did to find this article originally, which was, and I didn't show you this here, but to find this article originally, I had to start on Google Scholar and then go to the OSU library to find the article. So when I originally found this article, there wasn't a PDF of it on Google Scholar. So this is what I had to do to actually read the resource. So you're going to fully describe what you did. And the last thing you're going to do is you're going to describe how you think the resource is going to help you finding answers to your MTIP research question. So when you're done with your scholarly research and completing a table for each of your 3 sources, you're going to save your document using the following naming convention. So it'll be your last name _MTIP3. So just a few things left to do this week. You're going to complete your original discussion post by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. and actively engage in the discussion board by responding and reading your peers' posts by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Finally, MTIP number 3, which is the scholarly research, is due Sunday, April 7th by 11:59 p.m. If you have any questions or need any assistance, please feel free to get in touch with me. I think that's all for now, so happy working this week and let me know if you need anything.